over the weekend. We did an incredible stream for the North London derby. Our mate Miles joined us. He was being put through the ringer. We were obviously all quite neutral in that game. But yeah, the North London derby, a Desmond 2-2 draw between the two. A very interesting, entertaining game. It was interesting, Buvey, you asking earlier for like, what's the moment of the game for you? You couldn't really put a finger on it, could you? Because there's so many, like, you had the penalty incidents where we kind of had a debate about that. You had the Jorginho mistake where there was a little bit of a debate about Arsenal's shape in that. What did you make of the game itself as
I think Spurs come away from it being the winners. I think they got a new manager. They got a load of new players that are all trying to get confidence, going to the Emirates, getting a point, not being battered, which a lot of people thought would happen. And I think the moment of the game is Jorginho coming on and making such a big mistake. I know we can laugh at it on an individual basis, but it actually alludes to a bigger issue that Arsenal have. They have a lack of depth behind Declan Rice. I know Partey's injured as well, but they've got some serious issues in that squad moving forward if Declan Rice isn't fit. Exactly.
But is that not what Jorginho is, mate? You know, when you say a lack of depth, I don't think they do have a lack of depth. They've brought on a European Cup winner. They've the point of Jorginho is depth.
But maybe he's not the right answer at the moment.
Maybe it's a lack of quality. A lack of quality.
They've got a body there and he's just not good enough.
I mean, I think you're right to pinpoint that moment because everything was going Arsenal's way. They weren't playing particularly well. They certainly didn't deserve to be in the lead, but they found themselves in the lead from slightly fortuitous circumstances. And then your responsibility when you go a goal up in that circumstance, you have to protect it. You have to look after that lead. You have to look after that football as if it's a newborn baby. Protect it with your life. You get the ball, you knock it to your goalie, you knock it to your fullback, you keep possession, you take the sting out of the opposition because you are quite vulnerable. One of the most vulnerable points I think the data suggests is you are most likely to concede straight after scoring. But you can't do that in the North London derby.
Yes, people, what's going on? Welcome to another clip from the club. We absolutely adore you and thank you for joining us here, but we'd love you even more if you used to do us a little favour. Go download the Super 6 app, join our league. The code is CLUB23 and you've got another opportunity this weekend to win £250,000. All you've got to do is predict 6 scores in the Premier League, get them right, and it could be you. Make sure you check out Super 6. Thank you for checking out the club. Enjoy this clip.
And the fact that Jorginho has decided to try and take on a man, like, what are you doing? That, like even on your best day, that's not your thing.
I did find it never really odd how. Look, I think it's a mistake by Jorginho. Ultimately, you have to get rid of the ball. But you can see him kind of remonstrating with his teammates, like, to come into the positions that they're supposed to be in. And you also see, like, a lot of the team have just gone pushed up the pitch, which I found really... You've just scored.
No, do you know what I think his issue was? He's completely incorrect. But what I think his issue was is that when he was dispossessed, he was tracking back. I think what he wanted his centre-half to do wasn't to backtrack, to kind of sandwich him in, to make him make a decision. Obviously, Saliba felt like he couldn't do that because of the runner. You know, he got Heung-min Son running through, so he felt like he couldn't do that. But I thought it was slightly rich of Jorginho to be remonstrating with anybody when you are the reason. Like the reason that game finished 2-2 is Jorginho. The reason that Tottenham scored a goal is Jorginho. So it felt ridiculous for me. The significance. Do you know what, Ed? I don't know if I'm... What I try not to do, because I'm accused of doing it a lot, is like hyperbole, too much in one result, going too... But for some reason, this lack of victory...
This time it's different. Is that what you're saying?
I do think it is, actually. The fact that Arsenal haven't won the game, bearing in mind they've dropped points at home again. They've dropped really points when they were winning. They've already dropped points to Fulham. They snatched a victory against Manchester United. Yeah, I mean, I felt like they were going to win the league. And we're only 6 games in, but I haven't seen anything. No. I haven't seen anything to suggest that my prediction would be correct.
And they've got a few injuries at the moment now as well. Obviously, you've had Jurriën Timber, Thomas Partey already out. Mikel Arteta, after the game on the weekend, said he had some discomfort in his back, talking about Declan Rice. He was telling us during the first half he was not comfortable. Back injuries, as we've seen with Marcus Rashford in the past, can be a problem. And he said Fabio was a tactical decision. Which is, I find, when you've got to make a change in your midfield to then take off another one optionally sounds a bit weird.
Well, for Havertz, right, who came on for
Yes.
And Havertz is another one. I know we've gone on about him, but is he there to play the ball? Is he there to play balls to other people, keep possession going? Is he there to try and beat a man? Because he can't do that. Ultimately, a lot of people, again, give him credit for his time at Bayer Leverkusen, his finishing ability, apparently.
Years ago, mate.
And he did get a moment. He got into a beautiful space and he didn't even hit the target with a volley. Again, it's a technically hard thing to do, but he couldn't even hit the target.
Do you think, is there an element here of Mikel Arteta kind of getting things wrong? If you think about the recruitment up until, say, this summer, it's been all fairly positive. Generally speaking, his transfer policy has worked. But this Havertz one, it feels so significant. It's so important. And trying to redefine him as a player, trying to change who he is as a player. I just think that it's a really weird thing to do because Kai Havertz has been played by multiple Chelsea managers across the front line. To try and redefine him as something different, to me,
I think they've got a lack of identity, mate. I think they're at the back. They've got these kind of four centre backs. Well, at points it's four centre backs, or one with Zinchenko. They've got this physicality. The midfield's got an element of physicality. Partey, Rice. The front three, they seem lightweight. They seem like they're always coming inside. They're never really pushing on. So this Arsenal side, are Arsenal trying to keep the ball and out possession sides? Are they trying to do that, or are they trying to bully sides? I think they're caught in between two worlds.
They're trying to do everything, all of the above.
They're trying to look good on the ball, bully side.
Yeah.
I don't think they're doing anything very well.
Though, as well with Arteta, where he clearly wanted to change something. Whether that's right or wrong, you can have your opinion on that. But this season, he's decided I want to bring in Havertz, Declan Rice. He kind of shifted Thomas Partey over to right back. He's clearly shown that he wants to do something different this season from last season. And then after 4 or 5 games in the season, he's gone, actually, Kai Havertz isn't performing. Let's take him out of the team, put Fabio Vieira in there. Yeah. I think Fabio Vieira's not done too badly, but then again today, on the weekend, he's taken Fabio Vieira off for a tactical thing at half-time. Like, your midfield now is, you're trying to revert back to the old one, even though you've clearly kind of shown that you want to change. Like, you're kind of caught in between two Arsenal.
Suddenly, there's some question marks. I think for the first time, not in his Arsenal tenure, but for the first time in a year at least, there's now some conversation about Mikel Arteta, not in terms of his future. I'm not for 1 second suggesting that he gets sacked. I'm just suggesting that he's getting things wrong. Last year, he basically had the Midas touch, didn't he? Whatever he touched worked, whatever he touched turned to gold. And they were very unlucky, or whatever you want to position it as. They didn't win the league. They finished second, and they accrued an impressive points tally. This year, already, their home form, they've dropped points to Fulham, which if you're competing for the league title against the Man City team is totally unacceptable. I know that sounds really, really harsh and very early in the season to start talking like that, but I'm afraid it is. You can't drop points to Fulham if you want to win the league. They've then nearly a Riesler paper away from dropping points to Manchester United. Manchester United have shown us that they're very vulnerable as well. So, okay, they got out of jail there, and I thought they were going to use that victory over Manchester United and the significance of it and the way that they won that game as some sort of springboard to their season started fourth game, last minute of the fourth game. And then this against Tottenham, they've winning twice and they've come away with a point.
Are we being unfair in the sense that, look, it wasn't a great Arsenal performance on the weekend, but Spurs are a much better Spurs team, and Spurs played their part in that match.
Yeah, Tottenham. There's no doubt. There's no doubt that imminently we will spin off Arsenal and wax lyrical about Postecoglou and acknowledge his contribution and talk about how well Tottenham have done.
From the point from
Tottenham has done brilliantly.
In 6 months, that might look like a good point against Spurs. If Spurs have gone to the Etihad and got a point.
No, it's impossible.
Something like that.
Nah, it's impossible for a point to look good at home when it's only a point and you're winning twice.
Yeah,
it's just not a good point. You're winning the game twice. The game is, you've won it twice. You're in the position to solidify that victory. Shut up shop. A top manager does that. The amount of times I've seen Jose Mourinho or Alex Ferguson or Arsene Wenger or whatever, you go 1-0 up and you take the sting out of the game. You don't go 1-0 up and then inspire the opposition immediately.
No. I think Odegaard is a massive name we don't talk about enough. I think he went missing in this game. Again, is it a criticism of him, or is it Sarr and Basuma doing a great job, even Maddison dropping deep to win balls? But I think Odegaard is the main man in that midfield, especially when Rice is off. Did he do enough on the ball? Did he create enough chances? Did he even use leadership, the fact that he is the stellar player in that Arsenal side, to say, let's calm the game down, I'm going to knock it side to side, I'm going to dictate the play? No, I feel like a lot of things went through him and nothing stuck. I don't think Odegaard had a good enough game against Spurs.
He can go missing in games. His best, but I don't think the reason Arsenal didn't win was because of him, because what you did see was him picking the ball up a lot and spraying it to the wide players, whoever that were in those moments, Jesus and Ketia, Saka, etc. And then it was getting into those moments and breaking down. So I kind of feel maybe it wasn't all on Odegaard, but again, he's their captain. Maybe you can drag things up. Also, what you associate with Odegaard is control, precision, calm. And that game was mental.
So whose responsibility is it to slow it down?
So is that not more of the team?
Is
that not more of the team kind of thing as well?
Yeah.
And then in the second half, the midfield behind him
Saliba was
changes.
knocking the ball out of
It
play.
goes from Declan Rice to now you got Havertz milling about and whoever else.
But
The
somewhere
trouble
through
is,
the spine. Yeah.
trying to analyse this game, look, through the prism of one game, it's just, you're competing for 3 points and they've taken a draw against a rival who are in good form. It can be seen as being fine, move on to the next one. I don't really see it like that, though. I really think this is almost a coming-of-age moment for this Arsenal squad. They really do need to ask themselves, are they going to be a serious team to compete for the league? And if they are, they need to go on a run and win the next 12 out of 15 games. Or are they going to be a really good team, an excellent cup team, compete in the Champions League, but ultimately fall short of a genuine challenge for the league? This result combined with the 2 other home games, they're not the side I thought they were going to be. They're really not.
And Spurs, what could their hopes be this season? I'm starting to look. I'm not going to, again, overreact from their start to the season. We've kind of seen similar things happen with Nuno, etc. But I do think they've got a big opportunity of getting a Champions League spot back.
Especially if it goes to 5th, which is looking like it will.
Yeah, and then you look at, no European football to occupy your mind with this season, 38 games.
Do you know what the problem is for them? As much as I think that they can do it, and as much as I probably think they will, just to put that out there immediately, I think they will. But the reason why they could struggle, Tottenham, I think they've got an excellent manager. I was wrong on that front. I mocked Postecoglou. And thus far, I think he's been brilliant. Not only has he been brilliant in terms of the way that they're playing, he's in keeping with the traditions of the club, and he seems like a really good geezer as well. Like some of the stuff I've seen him, the way he talks, a breath of fresh air in interviews. Yeah, I like him. I just think that their squad is so lacking in depth beyond the first team. I think they've got a very, very good first 11.
Yeah,
quite an impressive first 11.
Yeah.
But I think, when you start looking at who comes in I just don't know where you turn.
Yeah.
And you look at any sort of injury to James Maddison.
Madison looked like he could have been injured in that game.
I know. And obviously the injury to Rice, people will focus on. But I think the significance of the Maddison injury could be as if he is injured. Obviously we hope he's not.
Luckily for Spurs, he did play
on for a couple of minutes,
after,
yeah. But those
so
things...
did Saka and Saka though.
But look, Tottenham are doing really well. The only thing that could be their faltering issue, it's the depth, man.
Yeah.
It's the depth. But ultimately...
But they do have a bit more... I don't think they have enough to challenge, but they do have a bit more like, when Brennan Johnson's coming off the bench, or at today, Richarlison was
isn't it?
Yeah, but you've got the option Richarlison, Brennan Johnson.
Yeah, there's that. But I mean, what happens if the keeper's injured? What happens if the centre-half's injured? It's that more than, it's that.
And the big one is what happens if Madison's injured? Because he does seem to really be the personality of the team at the moment as well.
But Ange Postecoglou's sort of invigoration of individuals... It's up there with sort of anything that we've seen, because I think that same Tottenham team under a different manager get beat.
They were very brave on the ball today.
That same Tottenham team, same 11 under a different Tottenham manager get beat. Like that's the way that he has managed to inspire and invigorate various individuals. Yeah, I'm full of nothing but annoyance and admiration for Ange Postecoglou.